Well, folks, here again for the weekly forecast. Of course, last week we talked about the storm system that moved across the state. Kind of played out as anticipated, a very slow-moving system. According to the Rain network sites, we basically had one station in the Cortland area that recorded over 6.9 inches with the total storm event precipitation. We had at least 52 stations that received at least 3 inches of moisture, and another 150 stations that received close to 2 inches or above in terms of moisture. So fully a third of all of the stations within the Rain network recorded at least 2 inches of moisture. Very welcome event. Now, last week we talked about a dry pattern holding on till early October. It looks like the model's completely flipped, and here again we are dealing with another major storm system moving into the United States. So as we go to the upper air models, what we're going to notice is once again we have a large troughing pattern over the western United States, southwesterly flow in the upper atmospheres. The lower atmosphere, we're basically seeing a southerly flow into our region, so this high pressure system kicking moisture in advance of that approaching trough. And so some scattered precipitation late in the day is expected to develop, particularly in the southern plains, but some maybe in southwest Nebraska. And then tomorrow we see that low deepens in the upper atmosphere. We see a surface low pressure system starting to line up from the southwest into the southern plains. That's going to lift the moisture into our region, and we're looking at scattered showers and thunderstorms, particularly across the eastern half of the state. And then as we go into Monday, that trough starts to move a little bit more toward Nebraska. We still see a series of lows that will be generating around this upper air trough and pushing into the central and southern plains region, and that will keep precipitation in play across eastern Nebraska and potentially into the portions of the Panhandle. Then this system appears like it wants to start to open up on Tuesday, but there is another piece of energy that's going to rotate around it, showing low pressure system developing in the southern Rockies, and this may actually generate some additional moisture in our region. We're looking at some widespread precipitation across the Panhandle and potentially across eastern Nebraska. And then the system starts to lift toward the north, and we still see some energy rotating around that trough. So low pressure systems at the southern plains on Wednesday will once again generate the potential for scattered shower activity, with the heaviest of that over northern Iowa and eastern Nebraska. And then as we get into Thursday, the trough starts to break down. Most of the energy starts to move toward the Great Lakes. High pressure starts to build in from the western United States, and that should effectively cut off a tremendous volume of the precipitation. We do show heavy precipitation over Iowa. I think this will be a little bit farther eastward. And then we see another trough starting in next weekend, starting to make its way into the Pacific Northwest. This one has a lot of cold air behind it. We're likely to see some freezing temperature across the northern plains as we go into next weekend, potentially some of that making its way into the early part of next week into our region. But most of the precipitation remains east of the state. Now as we go to the 8 to 14 day forecast, with that trough persistent in the west, we see above normal temperatures to the east, and in terms of precipitation, with that trough coming out and a series of waves moving into our region, above normal moisture next Thursday through the following Tuesday for the northern and central plains.